Okay, this video is going to take us through a discussion of cast operators. So what is a cast operator? Well, right down here we have a picture of a cast operator. And so if you remember Cinderella, you have the fairy godmother takes her wand and casts a spell on the pumpkin, and then the pumpkin gets changed to a carriage. Alright, so the cast operator, of course, is the wand. And so in Java math we have cast operators, and they are int with parentheses around it. An int without parentheses is a data type. An int with parentheses is a cast operator. It's a wand. And now we also have a double cast operator. And again, that's got to be in parentheses. So these are two wands, and they will cast their spell on something and change it. And so an int casts a spell on numeric data, let's say decimals, and changes them to ints. And a double casts a spell on ints, and they become doubles. And that's how it goes. So these are wands. So now these wands will work in your Java programs. And so an example here is we have the number, a decimal just sitting there, and then the int cast operator casts a spell on the 3.45, turns it into an int. And it will, so it just drops the decimal. And so now you just have a 3. Now see if you can take that principle and apply it to numbers 2 through 7. And do 2 through 7, and then come back and see what the answers should be. So what we have here then is number 2. What you should have done is you should have taken the 7, and it's being, the spell is a double spell cast on it, so it goes from being an int to a double just by adding a 0.0 to it. The number 3, the question is, do you multiply first and then do the int, or do you do the int on the 6.2 first? And that's what you do. There are no parentheses to group the 6.2 and the 7 together, so the int cast operator is casting its spell only on the 6.2. So the 6.2 becomes, dropping the 0.2 becomes a 6. So now we're dealing with 6 times 7, which is 42. Alright, number 4. Here we have a grouping operator, which is the parentheses. And so we need to do that first before we apply the wand, the int cast operator. And so we're going to take 7 times 6.2, and we of course do that with the calculator if we need to, but not everybody. And so this becomes 43.4. So the int cast operator is going to cast its spell on the 43.4. So it changes the decimal to an int by dropping the decimal, and so it becomes just 43. So you can see number 3 and number 4 have the same exact numbers, but the addition of the parentheses makes a difference. It comes up with a different result. 25, or number 5, you have 25 divided by double 3. Well, we're going to divide by the result of this cast operation taking place. And so the double changes the ints into a double, and by just adding a 0.0. So what we're really dividing 25 by is by 3.0. Well, that's important because now we've got an int divided by a double, which has to be a double. So you use the calculator and and keep the decimal. So you use the calculator and keep the decimal. And so 25 divided by 3 is going to be 8.3 8.33, etc. All right, so that's what that's going to be. Now we look at number 6. Now this is like number 5. We're going to this is going to be grouped on the left side now because the cast operator is going to act on the 25 now. So now we're dealing with 25.0 divided by 3. So this is exactly the same thing, because when you do the calculator you get the same result as this, and since the 25.0 is no longer an int but a double, now the result has to be a double. So you keep the decimal, and so this is also going to be 8.333. Alright, and in number 7, you should have done, here's the grouping operator here, do the parentheses first, and so you look at this, you're not looking at the double here, you're just looking only at this, so don't look at this. And so 25 divided by 3, if I gave you that problem, then if just out here by itself, you would say, well, that's easy. That's an int divided by an int. That has to be an int. So you do the calculator and you drop the decimal. So that's 8. Well, that's easy. So this is 8. So now we are going to do the cast operator, which is a double, and so it's going to change this 8 into a decimal by adding a 0.0. Alright, so now what we need to do is go down to the problems below here and do these 6 problems, and then come back and let's see if you did the answers correctly. Okay, so let's look at these. See how you did. So an int divided by a double is double, so you use the calculator, keep the decimal, and so that's going to be 2.25. And there's no cast operator, so don't do anything else. This next one, you're going to see it has the same exact numbers, 9 and 4.2, but it's applying the int cast operator on the 4. Well, so what that's going to do is that's going to make this expression here, changes it to just an int. And so now you have 9 divided by 4. And 9 divided by 4 is use the calculator, drop the decimal. And so 4 goes into 9 twice. So that's why it's just 2. And then you go to number 3. Here again, you do the operation inside the parentheses first. So 9 divided by 4.0 is exactly this. And so that's 2.25. Then it says, now we're going to apply the int cast operator on the decimal 2.25. It's going to change the decimal into an int, so we're going to drop the decimal, and so it becomes just a 2.